In this video, we are going to be going over every single setting and sensitivity in PUBG New State, so you can select the best settings for yourself. So let's actually start off with the graphics settings. Starting off with frame rate, this is how smooth your game will look. I would select the highest possible frame rate for your device. If we select low and hit save, as you can see, the game is very choppy. However, if we go back to settings and then max, as you can see, the game is a lot smoother. Next up, we've got graphics. This is essentially how good your game will look. If you have a pretty bad phone, I recommend using light graphics. It does look a bit like vomit. I say if you have a decent phone, you should pick medium. Makes the game look really nice and clean. You should always prioritize your frame rate over your graphics. A higher frame rate will give you less recoil and also a faster fire rate. Anti-aliasing reduces how pixelated your game looks, and turning it on will make it look better, but it will also increase the temperature of your device and it will consume more battery. So personally, I turn it off. Brightness is pretty standard. It just makes your game look brighter. Next up is screen filter, and basically this will change how your game looks. Right now I'm using the soft filter, and now I'm using the standard filter. It looks much more realistic, but I don't know, I kind of like the soft filter. It's just easier on my eyes. Next up is really important, which is your graphics API. If you have a good device, you should pick Vulkan. However, if you're experiencing some issues, you should go with OpenGLES. Now on to gameplay. Now this part is important, so you should pay attention. So first one we have is sound tracker. You definitely want to turn this on because this way you will be able to see what direction sounds are coming from. Next up we have the sound tracker with icon, which will show what is actually making noise. So if someone fires a bullet, you will see a bullet icon on the minimap. If you hear enemy footsteps, you will see footsteps on the minimap. It's really good. You should definitely turn this on. Next up, we have block LOS warning. Now I'm going to show you what this does. So if we enable this and we go up to a wall, there's a red circle that is preventing us from shooting. We can still shoot, but obviously our bullets are not going where we want them to. And if you want, you can disable this. What happens is it shows this red circle instead, which will show where your bullet will land. Heal widget use is actually a really good option to have on, because what happens is if you disable it, and you can hold down on your meds and scroll around to select what med you want to use. So let's say I want the soda can and I swipe to it, nothing happens. However, if we enable it, and let's say I want to use my painkiller, I can hold down on my meds, swipe to my painkillers, and I will instantly start using them. Next up, we have autofollow. This is pretty standard. Basically, what happens is if someone invites you to jump with them and you don't accept or decline their request, it will automatically accept for you. Scope Quickslot, turn this on. It's so good. So if you have this enabled, you will unlock a new button to the right side of your screen. So right now I have a 4x on my AUG. I can drag a new scope to my AUG, or what I can do, click that button and select whichever scope I want to use. And it's really good for swapping scopes too. Let's say I have a 6x on my M24 and a Viper scope on my AUG. I can actually select the 6x and it will automatically switch the scopes for me. It's really good. And the final one for the gameplay option is the TPP and FPP Switch buttons. What this allows you to do is switch from first person perspective to third person perspective, and this only works in third person perspective mode, so it doesn't work in FPP matches. Now we're going to move on to controls, which again is really important, so pay attention. First up, we've got Parkour. If you have the combined jump button, this means you can use your jump button for jumping as well as vaulting over walls and grabbing ledges. Now if you have them as separate buttons, you will be able to jump with your jump button and also vault over ledges and walls with your vault button. Now my third option is the swipe jump button, because what this does is it allows you to jump by tapping the jump button, but if you want to vault over objects, you can swipe the jump button and it will allow you to vault. It's a really good option. Next up, we've got the peek feature, and this allows you to lean left or right. So if you select none, you won't get these buttons. If you have the tap feature on, you can tap which way you want to lean. If you have long press on, this means if you hold down on the peek button, you will lean, but if you let go, you will stop leaning. And swipe means you'll have a singular lean button. So if you swipe to the right, you will be able to lean right, swipe to the left, and you will lean left. Personally, I have it on the tap mode. 4-finger players and higher will use long press. If you use 3 fingers or less to play the game, I would select tap as well. Automatically switch to scope mode while peeking is a pretty simple option. I would say disable it, because sometimes I want to be able to peek without scoping in. The roll option is really simple. You can double tap crouch to roll, or you can have a completely separate button. I would say make it one button, just less buttons to worry about. Next up, we have Gyroscope, and what this does is it allows you to physically move your device to look around. Right now I'm swiping to look around, but as you can see on my face cam, I'm turning my device and I'm looking around. Now there's 3 options for this. You can turn it off completely, you can have it on only when you're scoping, or you can have it on all the time like myself. Most people have it on all the time. Now after playing around with the scope and shoulder mode, I have to say PUBG New State did a really good job with this. If you click the combine button, what you can do is tap the scope in, but if you hold down that ADS button, you will be able to use your shoulder mode. It's really cool. But if you make these separate buttons, you will have one button for scoping in and one button to switch to shoulder mode. If you select tap, you'll be able to tap the button to enter that mode. If you hit long press, you will have to hold down on that button to enter that mode. So hold down on the ADS button to scope in and hold down on the shoulder button to enter shoulder mode. Now if you select combine tap and long press, what happens if I tap the ADS button and let go quickly, I will be scoped in. However, if I hold down on the ADS button and let go, it will unscope. Now on to drag controls, and this is actually really important. Basically, these set of controls determine whether you can rotate the camera while holding down on a specific button. So, let's say you want to be able to aim while holding down on the scope button, you will enable this feature. And that goes for the peek button and the shoulder mode button. Aim assist obviously turned this on. Single burst mode autofire is really stupid because what happens is if we switch this AUG to single mode and we hold down the shoot button, as you can see, it's single firing at these intervals. However, I can literally single fire way faster as you can see on screen. So honestly, just turn this setting off. Next up, we have auto shoulder weapon. And if we enable this, what happens is when we start shooting, it will automatically put us into shoulder mode. I obviously like to hip fire and not ADS all the time, so I have this option turned off. Shotgun firing mode and sniper rifle firing mode are quite interesting. If you have these set to tap, you will just be able to tap fire to shoot a bullet. If we hit release, I will be able to hold down on the sniper rifle button and it will automatically scope me in, and then I can let go to fire my shot. And that works with shotguns too. Next up, we have auto pull pins, which is actually kind of interesting. I believe the way it works is if you select a grenade and you just stand there holding it, within 2 seconds it will start automatically cooking your grenade. Horizontal camera acceleration is something I've been wanting for such a long time. If we enable this, the faster we move our finger across the screen, the further we will turn. I don't like this. I like my aim to be consistent. So I have this disabled, so no matter how fast or how far I drag my finger across the screen, it will always turn the same distance. Now let's get on to sensitivities, and I know this sounds like a lot, but trust me, it really isn't. So starting with the free look sensitivity, if you see this little eyeball feature, you're able to look around, you can change the general or the driver sensitivity for third person and first person, as well as your parachuting sensitivity. Now, camera and scope sensitivity is when you're actually swiping across your screen. So this sensitivity right here, as well as when you're scoped in, swiping across your screen, that is camera and scope sensitivities. We have third person and first person. We have them for generally looking around. We have our shoulder sensitivities, and we have sensitivities for iron sights, red dot viper, 6x, 2x, all the different kinds of scopes. Now, I don't exactly know what kind of psychopath would make their firing sensitivity and their aiming sensitivity different. Make them the same. As you can see, for example, my 2x sensitivity, my scope mode sensitivity is 60, and my firing sensitivity for that scope is also 60. Make sure the firing sensitivity and the regular sensitivity for each scope is the same. Wow, I don't know how many times I've said sensitivity in this video, but it's a lot. If we scroll down, we have our gyroscope sensitivity. Now, the difference between your camera scope sensitivity and your gyroscope sensitivity, your camera scope sensitivity determines your swiping and swiping while you're scoped in, while your gyroscope sensitivity pertains to your actual tilting of your device and tilting while you're aiming down sights. We also have auto pickup, which is pretty self-explanatory. You're able to customize what you want to pick up as well as how much you want to pick up. So for assault rifles, you can change how much ammo you want to pick up. For example, if we go to the AKM, let's say for the AKM, I only want to pick up 150 bullets for the AKM, so I can change that right there, and it won't auto pick up anymore. You can also change the pickups for recovery items and your throwables and your scopes as well. It's really good feature, especially in the heat of the moment. You don't want to be wasting time picking things up. We've also got special effects, which is pretty simple. You've got the blood color and as well as your audio settings, which is your volume and your mic. So I hope this video helped you pick the perfect settings for yourself. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.